The Blitz, Star Wars, ukulele. Wondering what the connection is? Hi, I'm Sue and I'd like to introduce you to my mum to explain.
My name is Irene Oakley and I'm originally from the East End of London, Stepney. I'm 85. Living in the north of England, Newcastle. My husband, Rick, was from here. Met in Surrey, went out, got married and had the children in Surrey. And then what happened was his father died, and so he decided that he'd come back north because his mum, he was the only child and his mum was on her own. So this is why we came back here. And then we were here for about 12 years, and then he got an offer of a job in the south, and we went back again for about another 10 years in the south, and now I'm back again. I'll tell you the story, but my father had bought a pair of shoes for my young brother. He was, I can't remember, probably about 3 or something like that, and he'd bought him a pair of shoes, and something was wrong with him. I can't remember if they were too small or too big or what, but my dad said, you know, would you take them back to the shop? I was probably about 11 then, 11 and a half, and so I then, because I was terrified of the planes, you know, coming over, and I said, oh no, what happens if the siren goes, you know? Oh no, it'll be all right, it'll be all right. It was during the day. So I remember saying, well, if I get killed, it's your fault. Trying to blame him. You'll be all right, you'll be all right. Took the shoes, and on the way back, and I was just crossing this road, and I saw this lady at the door of a house. And as I'm walking down towards the lady and walking down, the siren went. And I thought, oh, so I start running down to ask the lady if I could go into the house, you know, and I could hear the planes coming over. By the time I got there, she'd disappeared. So when I got to the door, she'd left it open, and I was calling out, you know, to her, and nobody came. And I think she probably had an Anderson shelter in the garden. So I just opened the door, stood behind the door, didn't close it, but just stood behind it, and I could hear, we used to call them the doodlebugs, and you could hear them coming over. And then as soon as the engine cut out, you knew it was coming down. And I can remember it coming over and over, and it was near the flats. We lived in flats. And all of a sudden, then it stopped, and I heard this sort of bang came out, and I could see all smoke and what have you. And I thought, oh, it's the flats, you know, Mum and Dad and my brother in there. And I came running out, crying, you know, Mum, 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 you know, thinking that. But luckily enough, it went just not too far away. So everything was okay. But I was really frightened, you know. So yeah, that's my story. 15, 16, and we all had when you sold something, you all had a number, and so when you went to pay, you know, you've sold it to your customer, you went to pay, you'd have to say your number, and I was H, you see, but I thought, well, you know, I'd be posh, you know, because I say H. Thinking it was the right way, you know, instead of H, because that's Cockney, you know, H. And then there used to be one side of the shop was the boys, the boys that used to sell for the men's shoes, and we were on the opposite side. And there was this young lad there, and when I went up and said H, and he said H, and every time I went up, he used to take the mickey, and he would go H. And I said, shut up. On a Saturday, was it Saturday or Sunday? And there used to be used to have a stall that sold all the records, and you'd be, there'd be a crowd of you all round. Some, you know, if you could afford it, you would buy a record, you know. If not, you would be there and just they would be playing, and you'd be just standing around, you know, sort of dancing, you know. No, that was a, you know, like you, I would go into the record shops and, you know, say, oh, I want this, and oh, it's brilliant, yeah. This friend had been a boxer, you know, but he'd finished with the boxing, and he had this. He was doing this TV. They called it The Uglies, and so he said to my brother, you know, oh, you know, try and, you know, get in, you know, it's great, you know, earn a bit of money, you know. So that was how, through this friend, that got him into that, and he did lots of little things on television. He worked with Larry Grayson for quite, you know, different skits and a children's programme. I can't remember them all, but he was in quite a few, and ads and everything. And then he had this part in Star Wars, and he was, I've forgotten the name, I've got the name written down somewhere, but he was in Star Wars. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but apparently he was the one that got his arm chopped off. Years ago, we've got a friend who plays ukulele, and he's played it from when he was about 17. He's absolutely brilliant. He's done a lot, you know. It's very, very good. And I bought this ukulele from him because I was interested in it. So I didn't really have anyone to teach me, so I got put in the cupboard, and then for years, and then my daughter Susan happened to speak to this lady, and she noticed the lady had the ukulele in the room there, and mentioned about, oh, you know, Mum would like to play the ukulele, and apparently the lady said, well, if she goes to the Sage, they, you know, they do classes there, and that's how it started, really. And I've been there for about eight years now. Well, we play as a big group, you know. We go a lesson every Thursday. We go to have a lesson, and I've played in some homes for the elderly. But yeah, so we used to go and play every sort of 3 weeks to one of the homes, and which I quite enjoyed anyway, playing all the old songs for them. But that's finished now. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it.